Welcome, everybody. I want to welcome the executive team for attending this proposal presentation. The first question you must be asking yourself, why are we here today? Well, the CFO group has been experiencing a higher than normal 17% internal turnover rate over other departments in the company for their PM project management organization. Why is this a problem? I want to highlight the challenge of meeting one of the CFO project management organization missions, which states that we want to become a developer and a source of talent. This mission cannot be fulfilled if the turnover rate continues to climb as it has today. This affects us all from three different domains. I will quickly discuss the three different domains. The first is the people domain. In the people domain, what we are seeing and having to deal with is the morale is currently in a negatively impacted range. And that is attributed to or experienced by the exodus that we are seeing in the 17% internally today. From the business domain, work quality has suffered. We have seen a decline in the output and quality of work from those that are still within the organization. And the cost to train replacement affects budgeting and pulls managers away from their daily duties. This impacts the business greatly in very indirect ways. From the data domain, we expect and hope for performance review data, rewards and recognition data, as well as exit survey data to become available as part of our proposed analysis. There are no current systems today for employee retention internally to the CFO project management organization. And we are hoping that this data effort will lead to decision-making focused on the root causes of the employee exodus. As a side note, we are also wanting to point out a challenge and that we are aware that stands in our way is the enterprise hiring freeze. The difficulty of backfilling with internal or external candidates requires a request at the highest level of senior executive approval. And this takes considerable amount of time and cost, as the process is meant to prohibit and reduce the request for backfilling request for personnel. We will now move on to the background of this problem. I will now share a little background into what is driving this effort and why we're requesting this analytics proposal. Since 2020, the Chief Financial Office Project Management Organization has seen a higher than average 17% outgoing internal transfer rate of employees to other departments within the enterprise. Although the department's external turnover rate remains low at 3%, which is typically a national average, to the internal transfer rate of 17%, which is high compared to other departments within the company. A company-wide hiring freeze also prevents the influx and the ability to recruit external candidates, which inhibits the Chief Financial Office Project Management Department from backfilling with new employees. This leaves the existing staff having to take on additional workloads, which negatively impacts their morale. They see as others leave that they are not getting resources to take on the existing work, and it is just being reallocated to those that are left behind. The higher turnover rate internally also costs the department to train new internal transfers, if ever approved by senior executives, into the department with senior leaders and highly skilled staff that have the ability to train and know the background of the work and project management for the organization, having to focus and spend time with the new hires to train them, which takes them away from and does not allow them to address their business as usual duties, taking them away from the job that they are in place to do. If the high outgoing transfer rate root cause is not identified and addressed, work quality and performance will continue to suffer with high employee job dissatisfaction, which will be recorded in the annual employee satisfaction surveys that the enterprise conducts at the end of each year. I also do recognize that the CFO project management organization did have an executive leadership change at the beginning of 2023, and the past executive leadership style and culture could be a possible root cause of one of the hypotheses I will discuss shortly in this presentation. All of these challenges add up to a dwindling pipeline of new talent, either internally or externally to the company, and the opportunity to enhance the existing talent within the CFO PM organization. Therefore, it is critical that we focus on this proposal. Now, I want to turn your focus to the analytics team, the people who will help us to solve for and provide information, the problem that is existing as mentioned previously. This team and in the CFO PM organization will need their knowledge, their expertise, and their skills to solve this business challenge. The following personnel were involved in preparing this analytics proposal, and if approved to move forward, will continue to support the resolution of this effort. The first person and the most critical, of course, will be the executive leader of the project management organization that has taken over at the beginning of the 2020 year. This person has the responsibility and exposure to the impacts and performance of the organization at the macro level. Below the executive leader of project management, the team will include the 4 senior leaders that report to the executive leader that currently manage the teams affected by the high internal transfer rate. These leaders have firsthand knowledge of who has left, what their performance levels were while in the organization, and they provide the information and details around the exit interview information from those who left the organization, as well as for those that remain within the organization today. Another critical resource to the analytics team will be the human resource executive who has been assigned to the Chief Financial Office project management organization. This person can provide outside consulting knowledge and metrics from other departments within the company. Those metrics will help us to compare and contrast the key data and supporting the hypotheses that we will talk about next. This information will help provide possible variables attributed to the high internal transfer rate, as well as how the organization stacks up and is performing against other organizations within the enterprise. Another group of people that we felt would be very critical and helpful in providing support to this analytics team would be approximately 10 current and transferred department employees. Because of the internal transfer rate of 17%, the one benefit is that those that have left are still within the company and easily accessible to be able to help with providing insight into their departure. They will represent two from each of the four senior leader organizations that can provide the pulse check of the work environment under each of the leaders to survey and provide qualitative data inputs. They will also help us to provide insight into the current leadership and employee satisfaction survey data under the current leadership. Two employees that have transferred to other departments will add critical data about what prompted them to move on. What was the origins of their desire to move? Was it performance? Was it opportunity? Was it pay? Those will be the things that we will talk about into the next slides in how we will approach to find and be able to analyze getting to the root cause of this problem. The last person that has been assigned to the analytics team that we feel will add considerable amount of support and value information will be the financial controller that's also assigned to the Chief Financial Office Project Management Organization. This person, they'll be able to access financial data that might provide us with cost impacts, salary impacts from those who've moved to other departments, and be able to provide us with information on other departments that we might have the inability to have easy accessibility into. So this is what we would propose to be our analytics team, who have supported us thus far, and if provided the opportunity and approval to move forward, will continue to support this effort. Okay, folks, we really appreciate you sticking with us thus far. And now this is where the rubber hits the road. We won't go into grave detail and read line by line of everything that you see on this slide, but it does provide us with the outlay of how we will be approaching this analytics proposal and study. This will provide our hypotheses, our variables, and our data sources where we will be getting the information from. I will spend some time to walk through what we are looking at and focusing on, and be able to explain why each one is somewhat valuable in helping us to get to the root cause of the issue and the challenge that we are trying to identify, fix, and resolve. This table shows the approach this analytics team is prepared to execute to find the root cause. The first one, in the first hypotheses, the team will research if a possible reason for existing employees is, or exiting employees, is due to pay differentials in other departments. Is the CFO PM organization not paying an average or equitable salary to those that are in the organization as compared to other departments? A comparison will be tested using the payroll system's data that's available and the PeopleSoft system, and we will be using applied t-test statistical testing analysis to assist in future decision making. This data will also help us to support whether or not salary becomes a root cause for the exodus of project managers from this organization. The next hypothesis will emphasize that recent employee satisfaction surveys may show a decline in morale. They may help us also to hone in on, based on the survey questions, where some of the root issues lie that is causing some of the morale decline, as well as what is supporting potentially some of the exodus out of the department. A comparison will be tested using the HR employee sat survey system that has available data that captures the information year over year, as well as the PeopleSoft system that will help to determine if morale is a factor in the internal transfer rates. The survey data will expose areas of concern such as leadership style, amount of workload, and work support using applied t-test statistical testing analysis. This particular hypothesis also will help us to understand exactly why people want to stay with the company because of our external transfer rate being so low, but yet wanting to leave the CFO organization. The third hypothesis will test if the past performance review data shows that employees need more job enrichment and advancement opportunities compared to other departments. A comparison will be tested using the Workday systems available data and the PeopleSoft system to compare if there is a correlation between the exodus and growth opportunities, and we'll be using applied t-test statistical testing analysis to determine what does the data show us. As an old partner of mine once told me, you must listen to data as if it were sheet music. You got to listen to the tune it's telling you. And this data will help us to better understand exactly if growth opportunities are also a factor in the PM exodus. The fourth hypothesis to be tested focuses on rewards and recognition data, which may show that CFM project management associates are not recognized as often as other departments. As many of you are aware, all the departments are given a certain budget for rewards and recognition, and we will be using and looking at this data to determine whether or not we are actively and appropriately utilizing this budget and the opportunities to recognize our associates. We will in this one be looking at the average between other departments, multiple departments, and will be tested to determine if the program usage within the organization is adequate and that the PeopleSoft system data will be applied using an ANOVA statistical testing analysis that will compare the averages between multiple departments, greater than 3, of course, because we have a total of 8 different departments within the enterprise, that will help to show us how we compare the CFO organization against those other organizations. The last hypothesis is to compare past performance review data, which may show that employees need to be provided with measurable, constructive, and actionable feedback from their managers that is documented and compared to other departments. The comparison will be tested using the Workday systems available data, and that data will provide us with exactly what each individual was provided by each of these 4 senior leaders within the organization. And it will be compared with the PeopleSoft data using applied t-test statistical testing analysis. That covers all of our hypotheses that we will be testing for. Once these hypotheses have been tested and the data analyzed, a recommendation based on the facts will be provided so that leadership can make impactful decisions that will reduce the PM's having the desire to leave the organization. Once employees see that senior leadership is committed to embracing changes at the division level, they may understand how the leadership team tackles their problems with a fact-based approach, not using emotion or hyperbole or even speculation. The need to see that data was established in pointing to actionable decision making. Division executives must understand that the exodus needs to be recognized and addressed, and the time to act is now before the problem exacerbates. If there are no further questions, we all would like to thank you for your time today, and we await your decision on moving forward. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we await your decision. Have a good day.